HIMSS just released their earnings for Q2 2026. So without further ado, let's just quickly get into it. If you can, please give me a like and subscribe. But let's go over what exactly happened, what it means. The stock went down about 7%. So investors didn't like it, I guess. I actually was okay with it, and I'm going to explain exactly why. I did give them a C- though. Their expenses were crazy. Now, this is for the first 6 months. I didn't compare quarter over quarter. I like to compare year to year. So this is the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year. Their revenue was up 20%. Again, their revenue was up a lot more quarter over quarter, but the last quarter was very bad. So that's why it's kind of like in the middle. And as you can see, the cost of revenue was way up. Everything else was up. General administrative was up by 137%. Their loss from, the net income and everything was negative almost 300%, right? Same with the EPS, about 300% negative. So that's not good. But why this is happening, they've done a lot of investing and they had to pay out some of the lawsuit stuff. And granted, I don't think the lawsuit, it's somewhere in there. The numbers are in there. It's not on right here, but they did pay for the lawsuit, and I don't think that we're accounting yet for the next lawsuit that has to happen, the next settlement that is going to hit their numbers, but their revenue is growing, everything is getting better, and I'm going to show you why. So this is how their revenue has been going quarter over quarter, their earnings, and the growth rate, right? Now, as you can see here from, what is this? In March of 2023, all this stuff, HIMSS, the growth rate went from 97 to 88 to 83 to 56. As you can see, the growth rate actually started to slow down. Which again, when you start making a lot more money, it's harder to keep, growing your revenue at 97%. That's fair. But it continued to go down all the way up until June of 2024. Then it went from 45 to 51. It started to grow again. The revenue started to grow again. But then they hit back over here in June 2025, the revenue growth rate started to go down, 72, 49, 28, 3. So now we have a 38%. Now the growth is starting to go up again. The international is going up. I believe that these rates are going to continue to grow, but they are going to be also facing some big comps, right? You have 753 million. Now, that in a year, they're going to have to compete with that or compare to that. So, but their growth rate is increasing now, not decreasing. Because if they had gone under 3, that would have been horrible, right? They would have been negative, but they're not. Now they're at 38. So that's good. Now let's go over exactly what they said. They said, we expect our domestic business to continue accelerating through the second half of this year. As a result, we are raising our 2026 revenue outlook and building increased conviction in our 2030 targets of at least 6.5 billion in revenue and 1.3 billion in adjusted EBITDA. So again, they have not backed off those numbers, which is really good. Now I want to show you why this quarter was good, and the last quarter they had made everything look bad. So as you can see, when it comes to the revenue, the monthly revenue per average subscriber, it went up 21% in this quarter. The last quarter only went up 4%, right? When it came to the United States revenue, it only went up 3% last quarter. It's up 16% in this quarter. When you just look at the rest of the world, it's gone up, obviously. It's just going to keep going up and keep going up. I mean, we're talking 1,600%. Now, it's not going to keep going at that, right? It's not going to continue to go at 1,600%. But the point is, the rest of the world revenue is going to grow very quickly. And so that is good. And this is just, it shows you on the 6 months how much it's gotten, this first quarter really hurt. When you got in this quarter, you were able to go up 21% on the monthly revenue, but in the whole 6 months, it's only 4%. That first quarter just really hurt them. This is also really good. When you look at the subscribers, they grew more than they have in the past couple years, right? They were growing by 200,000. Then they didn't grow right here. It grew 100,000, didn't grow 100,000. Then they grew almost 300,000. So it's their biggest jump in subscribers in years. That's really good. Again, the monthly revenue per subscriber is continuing to go up. And now that they've reached $92, I mean, that's great. That is really good to hear from them. Now, also the international revenue. As you can see, how much they're making, 131 off of them. And like when you look at the 131 million compared to 8 million, how it was a year ago. I mean, yes, again, you're looking at this number 17 times. The next year is not going to be 17 times. But what it's showing is that the international is growing, and it's going to grow significantly. If they can just hold this and or not even just hold it, obviously they're going to grow it. But even if they were to just hold it right now for the next 2 quarters, that would still be good. But the international is still going to grow as well. This was really good, right? Again, financial outlook for the third quarter, we expect a revenue of 880 million to 900 million, adjusted EBITDA 75 to 95 million, and then for the full year 2026, a revenue of 3.1 to 3.3 billion. Now that was more than what they initially had been saying. Now I'm going to kind of go over exactly how they've been changing their mind on how much revenue they're going to bring in, and every time they change their mind, it just becomes more. So this is what they think they're going to be making in Q3 of 2026, 880 million to 900, which would be a year-over-year growth of 47 to 50%. Again, growing now from a 38% to a 47%, right? We're seeing that growth rate continue to go up. The fiscal year, for the whole year, they expect to make 3.1 to 3.3 billion, which would be a 32 to 41%. Now, year over year, their growth rates are continuing to go down, but the first quarter they had this year was just horrible. It was just horrible. So I think next year, the actual revenue growth rate is going to be better of fiscal year 2027. But let me show you exactly why this is really good. This is what they released 2025, right? In the fourth quarter of 2025, they said they believe they're only going to make this much money, which they did. It was at the lower end, and they only grew 2 to 7%. That's what they were predicting. And then this is, though, what they were saying they were going to make for the full year, 2.7 to 2.9. That number has continued to rise, right? So now the next quarter comes along. It's like, okay, for the next quarter, this is how much we're going to make. And then this is how much we think we're going to make for the year, 2.8 to 3 billion. Now the next quarter comes out. Well, okay, we're going to make this much the next quarter, but for the full year, we're going to be making this much. They have jumped now from 2.7 billion to 3.1 billion, which is at the bare minimum, right? At the minimum, they were saying they're going to make 2.7 billion. Now at the minimum, they're saying 3.1 billion. That is a big change. And when you look at the increase, it's 32 to 41% when it started off as 15 to 24%. So obviously things are moving along quickly. Things are moving along well with what's going on in the back end that we're not seeing. So yeah, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I know this was kind of quick. Hims didn't really announce anything. They didn't announce anything other than the earnings, right? They didn't announce any like really big news. We know what's going on international. The lawsuit's happening, right? They're going to defend themselves. When the end of the day, it's going to be a settlement. Just the international is going well. The United States is now starting to grow again. That little Novo battle they had in the first quarter really hurt them. Hurt their brand, hurt their revenue. Now that they're back in it, now that people feel, okay, Novo's doing the deal with Hims, okay, I guess we all trust it again, and now they're starting to grow with the internet. Everything is going in the positive direction for them, except for the settlement that they will have to do eventually. They're going to have to record it within the next 2 to 4 quarters with, the FTC. So that's going to be interesting, but I think that's the only thing holding them back. That's the only thing, not even holding them back, but that's going to be the only thing that puts a dent in what's to come in the future. Obviously they're going to be still making their investments, and this is not a super high margin business to be in. But when it comes to peptides, when it comes to that kind of stuff, they will be having high margins, and they're going to start selling peptides in other places of the world right now. So I'm looking out for all of that. International is huge. They're growing their revenue. The rate's going up. Obviously, they have a lot of expenses, but it's a lot of investing that they're doing. Other than that, everything is growing. It's growing, growing, growing. So I believe, I'm a Celsius investor too. Celsius went down 18%. The next day it was up 16%. Hims is down right now 7%. I believe it could. They reported after hours, so it could still open tomorrow, maybe kind of down, but I do believe over the next week it could end up being just flat or maybe even up after. So, that's all I got to really say about the Hims and the earnings. I think it was good. The numbers themselves, I give it a C minus just because, like I said, there's a lot. It just looks bad when you see those numbers, but when you actually understand what's going on with the business, it doesn't seem that bad. It's not that bad. So anyway, please give a like and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that watches this. And never forget to earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.